Anything after 8:15 on Friday was canceled. Any wires that happened over the weekend were canceled because the bank was closed.
Concern and fear. I mean, that's what Northern California clients of Silicon Valley Bank were expressing over the weekend. They were worried that they might lose their businesses in the wake of the bank's collapse. I mean, depositors began pulling out funds in masses after SVB announced plans to sell assets. And that sounded the alarm, causing the FDIC and the U.S. Treasury to step in, as you can imagine. And you may have even gotten an email like this from your bank today, talking about banking failures of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and where the health of the nation's banking system stands. And with the collapse of the banks, also comes a long list of questions like, could this be the start of another financial crisis? What is the government doing about this bank? And what happens next? So this bank's collapse, I mean, it really put pressure on small businesses like the creator of this glassware that you're seeing right here, Granite Bay Etsy seller Dragon Glassware. They told our producer today that he has no ties to the bank, but his Etsy payout was impacted on Friday. And Etsy says that the bank's collapse is taking them longer to send sellers their payouts.
I got a message from Etsy on Friday, kind of following what was going on with Silicon Valley. Etsy used them for some payment processing, for disbursements to sellers. We have a daily payout, and we didn't get paid on Friday.
Now, the good news here is that Matt is expecting to get that payout, and overall, he is not dramatically concerned, but we had a few questions about what this means for the average banking customer. So I did sit down with Manny Garcia, a Wells Fargo financial advisor. A lot of people have been getting notices from their own banks acknowledging the situation that happened with Silicon Valley Bank. So what does this mean for the average person who has their money in a small, mid-sized, or even larger bank?
What this means is banks are trying to get ahead of the clients, letting them know what they have and what their assets have. I know for a fact that when we sent out ours this morning, we assured clients that our FDIC registration, what their limit is, we're above that limit on just deposit holdings, liquidity holdings. So we're trying to put all our clients at ease. And I think that's what most banks are trying to do right now.
Should people be concerned? And I don't know if concern is the right word, but how aware of the situation should they be and how closely should they be watching it?
They should be concerned with how their banks are managing their assets. If they have a bank that's more not as diversified as other banks, I should say. That being said, they should just be concerned about that. They should be concerned about their FDIC limits to make sure they're correct, so that way they're covered. By the way, I do want to ensure that the FDIC did come out and state that they're going to cover all the depositors 100%. So the depositors in these two banks are going to be fully covered and made whole.
But the investors, that's a different situation.
The investors is a different situation. Stockholders or debt holders, that's going to be different. That's going to be held separately. But the depositors will be covered.
For some people, this brings up memories of the banking crisis and the Great Recession of 2008. I mean, could we see this happen again?
Hopefully nothing's as bad as 2008. And I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'll say this, the Fed is going to meet this Wednesday, coming up Wednesday. They are going to raise short-term interest rates.
So you think that they're still going to raise interest rates on Wednesday?
I still think so, but we don't know the amount, right? It could be 50 basis points, it could be 25. What we do know is the Fed is trying to cause a deflationary event, which is obviously trying to just bring down inflation because it's running a little high right now. Prices at the grocery store has been high, rent's been high, prices of housing's been really high comparative to what the income levels are, right? So they're trying to bring that down. What that means is we have an outlook that there is going to be a recession at the mid to late 2023. That's Wells Fargo's outlook. So that's going to be something to look out for, definitely. And this could be a precipice to that.
What about people who are closer to retirement age or just normal investors? Should they be doing anything differently?
People closer to retirement should take a look at their portfolio. If they have a financial advisor, they should meet with them for two reasons. So just to make sure that they're not taking as much risk or overexposed to a certain market or a certain sector, and to make sure that their plan is on track to meet their retirement goals. The economy is slowing. Liquidity in the market is tightening up. We do see the interest rates rising in the next upcoming days as well. So Wells Fargo still continues to favor a defensive approach to investing. What does that mean? Just having a defensive portfolio for when tough times do happen and will happen.
And I also want to mention President Biden declared that the American banking system is safe. He gave a speech before flying to California just today. And the president believes the Trump administration's rollback of Obama-era requirements on smaller banks led to this moment, and he wants Congress to act. So I spoke with Sacramento Congressman Ami Bera about what that looks like. Now, President Biden says that he is going to ask Congress to strengthen rules for banks. I mean, what do you think has changed since the Great Recession, and what can Congress actually do?
Yeah, I think a couple things. Obviously, I wasn't in Congress at the time Dodd-Frank passed. I think that legislation really has prevented another catastrophic collapse of the finance industry like we saw back in 2008, 2009. I think we should take a look at what specifically happened with Silicon Valley Bank. I spent a lot of time over the weekend with my California colleagues talking to Treasury, talking to the FDIC. This seemed very different. I think we can take a look at what the impact of rising interest rates is on the assets that underlie some of these smaller regional banks.
Now, these banks are popular among startups and e-commerce. I mean, Etsy announced that it's delaying seller payouts. What is your message to Sacramentans who were directly impacted by Silicon Valley Bank's collapse?
The message to folks here in Sacramento County, the deposits are going to be all protected. Those startups are going to be able to make their payroll. So you shouldn't worry about that. To the taxpayers in Sacramento County, no taxpayer money is going to be used to ensure those deposits.
Should Sacramentans be concerned about what happened with Silicon Valley Bank? What's your message to them?
You know, my message is, from what I can see and the information I've been given, is that the American banking community, the system, is actually still very strong. And talking to Sacramento business leaders and others over the weekend, I feel pretty comfortable that the Sacramento community and banking community is also on firm footing.
Again, that was my conversation with Congressman Ami Bera. We know this is a lot to digest, so you can always keep up with this story and all the others that we're working on by joining our new To The Point text group. All you have to do is just scan the QR code that's on your screen using the camera app on your smartphone, and we'll keep you in the loop. And if you have any questions, reach out. All right, let's get things over to Monica, because Monica, if it's not a financial storm, it's another winter storm. So what are we looking at?
Right. So we've got another atmospheric river that we're tracking. The current one, though, still bringing some isolated thunderstorms. You can see that north of Highway 50, just off of Grass Valley. We had some heavy downpours and some lightning strikes just a moment ago. We've been tracking a couple of thunderstorms as well through the Central Valley, Rancho Calaveras right now, with an isolated cell right there. Some spotty snow showers for the Sierra, but this big plume of moisture about to head on through, and the timing is now going to take us through the morning commute. You can see some of the heaviest rain picking up overnight tonight through early tomorrow. Snow continuing in the Sierra, but that snow level is going to be fluctuating with our flood watch now in effect through Wednesday morning. And we have a flood advisory for parts of the Sierra because of additional runoff and snow melt. And the one extra factor with this storm, high winds. High wind warning starts up tonight for the Bay Area. Tomorrow morning for the Valley, wind gusts at about 60 miles per hour in the Valley, could reach about 100 miles per hour for the Sierra, Alex.
All right, make sure you download our free ABC 10 app to keep up with the latest information on weather conditions, road and school closures. You can upload your weather photos and videos so we can see exactly what's happening in your neighborhood. All right, after the break, we are rounding up at today's headlines. Abortion, a very big talking point today, and also later in the show.
There's a restroom, there's everything. There's a sink, and there's surprise, such a small vehicle, and it drives like a minivan. You know, I built forts with my brother when I was little, and this is kind of like having my little fort at my house.
Yep, we're hitting the road and getting a taste of the van life. Here are some other stories that people are talking about today. More bills were introduced at the state capitol to increase abortion access in California. Last year's Proposition 1 enshrined the right to an abortion in California, but the group says that privacy is the biggest threat to access. And the bills would do things like prevent law enforcement from looking at people's search histories, protect abortion providers if they provide medical care to California residents while they're out of state. And Celebration Arts Theater received more than $700,000 in funding from this year's state budget. The money will be used to hire more administration staff to improve its building on B Street. And this will also help get new lighting and technology for the 37-year-old theater. And last night, we already know, was full of historical firsts in Hollywood. Michelle Yeoh is the first Asian woman to win the Academy Award for the Best Actress for her performance in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. She is only the second woman of color to win that award in 95 95 years. 95 years, wow. All right, take a pandemic, a decked out van, and an open road, and you've got a thriving new industry. We're getting an inside look at the van life right after the break. Monica, I will be thrilled when I see you and I'm like, oh, it's going to be beautiful, sunny, and no rain in the forecast.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer because you can see well out in the Pacific here. We have multiple storms that we're going to be tracking deep into our 10-day forecast. We now have 14 places that are going to be above flood stage on our river monitoring system. So we're going to be tracking that, especially throughout the Central Valley and also the Cosumnes River at Michigan Bar and McConnell. As far as our temperatures, we're still in the 60s throughout the valley, close to 50 to 60 degrees in the foothills and 30s for this year. It's been a warm day for today with fluctuating snow levels. Now, today they've stayed basically below the pass level. Tomorrow they jump up to about 8,000 feet. That means more rain on snow and snow melt coming down the hill, leading to more runoff. By Tuesday evening into Wednesday, we'll see that snow level come down once again. That'll take the pressure off some of the runoff, but make for more difficult travel into the Sierra. And that's why we continue with this winter storm warning through Wednesday at 5 p.m. 1 to 5 feet of new snow possible in some places. That's going to be very isolated pockets because keep in mind, we're still going to have some of that rain incorporated with this snow. Our snow at some of the locations here throughout Donner, Twin Bridges, Bear Valley, and South Lake Tahoe, anywhere from about 1 to 12 inches of snow, but again, some isolated pockets totaling closer to about 60 inches or so. Total rain about 1 inch to 2 inches down low for the valley and the foothills, and we'll see some slightly higher totals for some of the upper foothills with that chance of thunderstorms again for tomorrow. So we're tracking them today. We'll track them again for tomorrow. Here's the plume of moisture getting ready to move on through. This is what's going to be moving in overnight tonight through tomorrow with some of the heaviest rain for the morning commute with a fluctuating snow line for the Sierra. Now, overnight Tuesday into Wednesday is when we see the colder air work in, but at that point, most of those showers are coming to an end, so there's not a whole lot of additional accumulation for our Wednesday and Thursday forecast. But again, it's still present, that low pressure system that's coming in with that atmospheric river. Then we start tracking our weekend storms, so there's more action in store for the 10-day forecast. Highs for tomorrow near 40 for the Sierra, 50s to near 60 down the hill. We'll see near 60 along the coast, a little cooler than today. Today's highs will reach in the upper 60s to near 70. Tomorrow, a little bit cooler as we start to see that second storm system rolling on through. And there you see it Friday, Saturday, still tracking another atmospheric river, and that plays into our 10-day forecast as well as we head into the weekend. Of course, St. Patrick's Day on Friday and the first day of spring coming our way on Monday.
Another reason why I hope that we get sunshine soon, because if the pandemic brought people anything, it was a new appreciation for getting outside. So people hit the road to get to national parks and backroad treasures. And many chose RVs, but there's a growing section of travelers who went a different direction. They're actually choosing the van life. Photojournalist Vanessa Bizzuto met with a company in Rockland that is really changing the industry.
During the pandemic, my wife and I decided to purchase a camper van, and we were kind of doing weekend trips. Since we were working remotely, we decided, let's just move into the van. So we sold all of our stuff and then traveled permanently while we work remotely.
Today's the day that we go on our grand adventure. We sold our house, we sold a car.
It's a little surreal that we're pulling off right now.
I know.
We did 43 states, 30 national parks.
We're just driving and there's just this epic waterfall just right next to the river. No idea it was here and it's just insane.
We got pregnant with Marshall while we were on the trip, and it was just special to have that time to be together.
Behind us is the Columbia River. We're at the Vista House.
Our goal was to live in the van for at least 6 months, and about 9 months in, it felt like it was time to go home. Kind of along the way, we had family and friends that asked us, where can we rent one of these things? We want to have that type of experience. And that's when we decided to, come back to the Sacramento area and start this business. This was supposed to be a side hustle where we invited our great friend Elon Gitman to be a business partner. He was going to kind of run the business, and I was going to still be an attorney.
We started, working out of Kevin's shed.
But we quickly kind of saw how much potential this idea had, and so we just both invested everything we had into the idea. The idea just totally took off, and we had 2 vans, and they sold out almost instantly, and then we bought a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. We're a custom van upfitting company, and so we take your commercial cargo van and then we upfit it with a custom layout to fit your exact needs. The purpose of a van is kind of to live with less. There's a minimalistic aspect of van life.
There's a big market for people wanting us to build vans, especially after they rent the vans. So we kind of started learning how to do the building and stuff like that.
COVID was a big catalyst for this to really take off, and now with social media, a lot of people do want to experience this. Everything we source is local, from the lumber we use to the different hardware.
We have a local cabinet maker. These cabinets that we purchased, they have the exact curvature of the sprinter walls. We have a local person that does all our cushions. We have a local person that does our woodworking. All we do is buy it, we support another local business, and then we just install it.
Very important to work with the different local businesses around here, just to, give back to the community, because they've given so much to us.
We really want to be pillars in the community, and that starts with keeping stuff local as much as we can.
Because of our experience being on the road, we have kind of dual lenses in the business. We have a lot of insight on van life from the perspective of living in a van, and then we also have a lot of perspective from renting the vans.
Everything's headache-free. We have solar charging, alternator charging. You can plug into shore if you want to. Everything's super simple and easy to do.
One of the key features about our business is we don't charge for mileage. Having the experience we've had traveling in a van across the country, there's so much freedom with that. Paying for mileage is totally counterintuitive to the experience.
And that's why we love doing the unlimited mileage, because you can really just pick up and go. If you like a place, stay there a couple more days.
Oftentimes we build these great relationships with our customers and you become part of their trip.
I'd never done it. I'd seen big motorhomes, but I wanted something a little bit smaller. So I was excited, and my experience is people, they're dying to have me open the door and show them the inside. Like, there's a restroom, there's everything. There's a sink, and they're surprised, such a small vehicle, and it drives like a minivan. I built forts with my brother when I was little, and this is kind of like having my little fort at my house.
Since my first trip out with a van, I was thinking, I wish I did this in my 20s. And the rates for a van overnight, it's really no different than a hotel.
When you think of a really long road trip, the inconvenient part is like the comfortability. You're kind of stuck, cramped in your car. You don't have a bathroom. You don't have any way to store your food when you're going across the country. So you can really have the flexibility of going with your kid's schedule and not having to be back at the hotel for naps or be back somewhere to do something. You just have everything with you all the time.
I think everyone should just try to explore this country because it has so much to offer, and getting out of your comfort zone and experiencing something you've never experienced before just helps with personal growth.
It literally changes your life. It gets you up and moving. And the pandemic, I think, saw a lot of increase in recreational vehicles, and we're just keeping it going now.
I think what we do here is special.
This whole business did change my life in a great way.
There is the shared vision to support van life.
Here in Northern California, we have a whole bunch of beautiful scenery and places that you can go camp. And since it's so close to Rockland, you're able to take a van up to Tahoe for a weekend and have a great time.
We're really connected to van life. It's just really special to us, and we love sharing that with other people. And I think that really sets our business apart.
And they don't charge mileage. I could not get over that. In Scenic Vans, they have about 8 vans available to rent, and they will even help you design your own dream van with all locally sourced materials. We're right back after this break. Okay, before we go, there is something big coming to El Dorado Hills, nearly 4 million square feet big. This undeveloped area in El Dorado Hills at Latrobe Road and Royal Oaks Drive, it could be home to Project Frontier, a new warehouse and distribution facility for an undisclosed business. And that's across the street from a relatively new neighborhood. I actually went down there today to do a temperature check on how people are feeling about the proposal. I spoke with some people and they said that they're not thrilled, but overall they say that they really just don't have enough information about what's going on. So they are attending a meeting this Wednesday to get more info and express their opinions. You can find information about that meeting. Just go to our website, abc10.com/tothepoint. If you do live in that area, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Send me a text message at 916-321-3310. You already know, we love to hear from you. Have a great night. I'll see you right back here on Tuesday. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.